Hello, everyone. This is Sharon Sirota, your host with SunGates Center, and I'd like to welcome to the call Bill Farber.
Hi.
Hi, Bill. How are you today?
Great.
Great. Well, we've been talking to Bill about the energy wave alignment, and we're so excited that we're able to continue on with the second two waves of this program. And what we left off with, we started out with the clearing wave, the awareness wave, and now we're going to be talking about the rejuvenation wave.
Right. So we talked about basically three waves that came to me originally when this happened to me in 2010. And the first wave, the clearing and the rejuvenation, we talked about. Now, the clearing and the awareness we talked about. So this next wave we call rejuvenation. And rejuvenation refers to our own natural power to regenerate or heal ourselves. And what happens with most of us, especially in our modern world, is that due to the stresses, some of the impurities in the food and whatever environmental challenges that we have, our bodies and our consciousness gets kind of clogged. And because of this clogging, this incredible power we have to rejuvenate and regenerate ourselves is thwarted in some way. It's diminished. And so what this rejuvenation wave does is it just kickstarts and amplifies that inherent ability that we already have within us to do tremendous repair in a very, very quick time. So this is obviously not a substitute for medical attention, which I always make it very clear. But the rejuvenation wave, people feel a rejuvenation, like an amplification of vitality, deeper sense of quiet and restfulness within themselves. Because if the restfulness is deep, not only mentally but physically as well, then it's like the doctors used to say, take 2 aspirin and sleep for a couple of days. It's the sleep or the rest that produces the rejuvenation. This is more powerful than sleep because we're wide awake when this happens. So we have full wakefulness and the full depth of quiet at the same time. And these two things together produce this kickstart of what I call rejuvenation power. Mm-hmm. It's not like something's coming in from the sky and doing this to us. Right. It's just we're removing the inhibitions and the things that are in its way.
Right. And when I think of rejuvenation and, kickstarting, I like thinking of a battery, like of a car, like recharging it, just getting it back up and going again. So that way it can go ahead and then run. Right. So we need to take care of ourselves and have a rejuvenation, have a wonderful clearing that now we're able to bring ourselves up and moving forward, right?
Very good.
Get everything more spontaneously moving, so that way all the parts are working together.
Right, and the thing that's good about that I found so rewarding about doing this with people is that this doesn't take long. The rejuvenation, once it kicks in, it's quick. I mean, it's amazing how quickly our bodies, minds, and awareness can repair themselves rapidly.
Right, because the body is amazing. The body can actually heal itself, given the right, instruction that, okay, now the cells are ready, the body is ready to receive, and it just kickstarts and moves ahead. So that way, we receive that healing, that now we're rejuvenating ourselves.
Right. So these are the three waves that came to me initially. And what happened about a year and a half after that was I was doing a session, and what I noticed was the session was evolving in a certain way where it occurred to me that what would happen if these first three waves were somehow merged together. And I just thought, I asked the person, can we try something? And so what I did was I introduced the clearing wave, then I weaved in the awareness, and then I weaved in the rejuvenation. What happened was they fused together, as it were, into a single much higher vibration. And the result of it was remarkable. I mean, the clarity and the depth of his experience was very, very remarkable. So what I realized was this is really the fourth wave, and I call it the unified wave. And I call it unified because it's a synthesis, and it's a merging of those first 3 waves.
Mm-hmm.
And it produces an extremely high vibration of energy. So I always do these waves in sequence. The clearing first, then the awareness, then the rejuvenation, and then the unified wave. And when I do sessions for groups of people, I always do that. And also on recordings. And it's worked out really well. It's simple. People don't have to struggle to try and understand them. And at the same time, there's no effort required. They just basically sit there and these things happen.
Mm-hmm. So it's automatic that the people just relax. So when you're facilitating these waves, the people are actually receiving the waves and the energy healing and raising up their vibration.
Exactly. Right. And, we have such wonderful reports from people. It's so rewarding for me because a lot of the people I don't know because they listen to me on a telesummit or they see an interview. And it's very rewarding for me. I used to say surprising. It doesn't surprise me anymore, but I don't feel blasé about it. Every time I had a person, I did an interview a couple weeks ago, and a person wrote in and said that they had this tinnitus, this ringing in the ears.
Oh, yes.
They'd had for years. It just disappeared. And that was a 10-minute demo I did on this radio.
Just from the demo.
Yeah, just from the demo.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially anything can happen. I don't represent that I'm curing people, but what happens is it's their own power, their own ability to rejuvenate that's just unleashed by exposure to these waves.
Yeah, that's really exciting that a person just relaxing in their chair and understanding that you're sending these wonderful waves to them.
Right.
And they can be healed in so many different ways. And you mentioned before that people can receive all this wonderful healing. And, what have you seen, Bill? What have you seen results that people might experience from this?
The most important thing, I can go into a lot of physical things, but like I said before, I don't want to give the people the impression that I'm saying I'm going to cure things, this or that condition. A lot of, I work with people that are seriously ill, undergoing chemotherapy and things like that, and it helps them tremendously with maintaining their energy. Mm-hmm. And how they feel within. They feel much lighter and much more supple and much more functional.
Right, so more centered, more balanced.
Much more balanced, and they recover much more quickly. Other people report, and this is the thing that I really enjoy hearing about, is that their minds become spontaneously quiet. This constant noisy mind that is so characteristic of our culture is really detrimental to our health and even our ability to make things happen for ourselves. Because the mind is constantly flittering and flapping around,
right?
Even when it's not doing anything productive.
The mind chatter, right?
It's chatter.
It's all this background noise.
Some people call it the monkey mind.
The monkey mind.
It jumps from one thing to another thing, to another thing, to another thing. Now, so the energy waves have this particular quality of allowing this mind to become quiet without fighting with it, without trying to do it. So this settling down, spontaneous settling down, is what really the key to all these other great benefits that people have.
It's almost like going into a meditation of a relaxation.
It's a meditation without having to meditate.
Right. So you don't have to know how to meditate.
No.
You don't need to know how to just release the mind chatter because that will automatically happen.
It's an automatic, spontaneous response to the waves.
Mm-hmm. That's really exciting because I know a lot of our listeners would love to know how they could help themselves through this process and knowing that they may experience some kind of healing for themselves, with headaches, eczema. It could happen with autoimmune diseases and things like that. So, and I've heard great stories, Bill, and I've also had the opportunity to experience your wonderful WAVE program, and I just loved it because you just get a balance and such a self-centeredness that you just relax. And then what happens is, at least for me, the healing came just because my body and my mind was so relaxed that I was able to receive then the rejuvenation and the unified waves.
Yes, beautiful. That's exactly the intention behind it.
Yes. So, Bill, what do you recommend for people to do, and how would they experience this with you?
Well, there are different ways. I have recordings that I've made over the last couple of years. I do sessions one-on-one with people. I do group processes, both live and online. And so there's a lot of varying degrees. Depends on how personal they want to get. The one-on-one sessions are unique because then, of course, I have the ability to tune into the person that I'm with just exclusively. And the thing that's interesting about it for me is that I seem to have an ability to track where the energy's going with a person. So even though I don't claim to be a medical intuitive in that sense where I diagnose people, but when the energy is moving through someone, it's going to be automatically attracted to an area where they need help. So I have a tendency to feel in that person where that energy is going. So I may say to them, what's going on with your lower back? And the reason I say that is because the lower back is pulling that energy in. And I can feel, it's almost like logging into a computer remotely. I can just feel where that energy is going within the person. And sometimes I'll help them let go of something through some coaching, like releasing and things like that. I'll help them let go of a stuck feeling or something like that.
Right.
So the one-on-one sessions are unique. I can't do that for groups. So, but other than that, the energy transmission is equally powerful with a group.
Right. And I love that, Bill, that you're so intuitive about where the energy is actually going and what the person needs or, where that is going. So that way, you have a better idea of what it is that person is experiencing and where they would experience it. And then you could ask them how they're doing with that.
Exactly. I can get illicit feedback, and that way it helps me to take the next step with them much more easily. So it's great. It's definitely a give and take and an interaction that we have if we do one-on-one sessions, which I do remotely with Skype, on the phone, or in person. There's no limitation to the energy as far as location, and that's typical with most good energy healing techniques like Reiki and things. That you can do it at any distance, because as we talked about earlier, the idea that we're separate is really a kind of a hallucination.
Right. Right.
And there's really this massive interconnecting unified field of energy that is everything and is everywhere. And so consequently, the fact that I happen to be sitting in SunGates studios right now and someone else is listening to this in Europe, it's utterly irrelevant because we're functioning at that level of energy where there is it's a non-local, non-time-based energy.
Right.
That can go through time because people can watch this in the future. And it can go across distance. Right?
Yes.
So
yes.
And the reason for that is because it's functioning in that field that's outside of time and outside of distance.
Yes, absolutely. Because we know that time exists here on Earth, but that time is irrelevant. That and distance healing is very common,
right?
Especially among people who do this kind of work or do kind of healing work, like Reiki and just all kinds of things like that.
Right.
And Bill, I know this is so exciting because no matter what time of day or night, it doesn't matter, that people can still listen to this and they understand that they're receiving this wonderful healing. And just in the matter of minutes, this could affect your life and just be so profound.
We're a busy society, and this is one really good, easy response to the crunch for time. Because if we have 2 or 3 minutes, 10 minutes, a half hour is great. It's still going to have a big benefit. Absolutely.
Right. And we're excited, Bill, because I know our listeners are looking forward to experiencing this wonderful energy wave alignment. And we're going to go ahead and do that in our next session.
Yes, well, I'm looking forward to that.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, for attending. And we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you.
And thank you again. This is SunGates Center. Thank you, Bill Farber.
Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.